buddies, welcome back to a brand new vlog. How's your week been? Let me know in the comments what your peak of the week has been. I'm just making myself some breakfast. This is a bit of a strange one. I don't know if you guys do this, but I've got so many leftovers from the roast that we did last week that I am just having roast beef kind of things for breakfast, lunches and dinner at the moment. So for breakfast today, I've got some of these Japanese milk buns from M&S. Really recommend these if you're after a burger bun kind of thing, like a slider, you know, American sliders where you can have like a bit of turkey ham in there, some provolone. They're perfect for that. I'm really enjoying them. So I'm just getting one of those and I'm going to toast that in the air fryer for a bit. I'm essentially making myself a roast beef sandwich for breakfast, but I've got some other things that I'm going to be doing with that leftover roast beef. Something that I really want to do is a teriyaki beef poke bowl, or even like a sushi dog. You know, the brand Sushi Dog. If you haven't tried them before, when you're next in London, I highly recommend as like a speedy lunch. They're essentially a giant sushi roll, but the flavors of them are amazing. And I think I'm going to do kind of like a DIY teriyaki beef sushi roll. What else am I going to do with the leftovers? We've got leftover gravy, so I think I'm going to do like a chicken pot pie as well. So I've got lots of plans with it, but I'm definitely one of those people that when I've got leftovers, normal breakfasts just kind of go out the window and I'll have a beef slider for breakfast. I've actually got a really exciting week in terms of work bits this week. I'm working with a couple of brands. For one of them, I'm basically doing a load of pies for them for a product launch. I can't disclose the brand just yet because I'm under NDA, but hopefully I'll be able to share it with you soon. But I'll be able to show you the pie that I'm doing. I'm going to do two because one of them has the brand's logo on it and the other one I'm doing just to recipe test for my own sanity. So I'll show you that in a bit. I've made the pastry this morning and I kind of wanted the pastry for that pie to be a little bit earthy and just carry more flavour than a standard pie crust. So I've done it part rye flour, part plain flour, and then I've also put some dark brown sugar in it instead of like normal sugar. And for the filling, we're just going to go in with some cherries, some bay leaf and some lemon zest and lemon juice. And I think that will create a really beautiful semi-earthy, zesty-ish filling for the pie. So I'm recipe testing that today and the brand's going to go pick it up today from here. What else we're doing? There's another brand that I'm working with. I won't say who it is just in case I'm not supposed to. I haven't actually received the contract through yet, but I'm going to be hosting a supper club for this brand and I need to recipe test at some point the dishes that I've created for it. So they've given me a load of ideas of what products they want it to feature and I've developed a recipe and I now just need to do the recipes to make sure they do actually work, because I'll get these ideas through and I essentially just think up ideas knowing what flavours and what ingredient combinations will work together. I kind of just know that when I get round to recipe testing they are going to be okay. So the recipe test is kind of just a triple check to make sure, and also to show the brand this is what the dishes will look like. They can then put that into like their decks that they need to share internally or that kind of thing. But I am waiting on final sign off of the menu before I do that. But for now, I'm gonna do these pies, gonna have a little bit of breakfast. And I've also got an ad that I need to shoot later on today with KitchenAid. I'm gonna do my breakfast first. I've just like toasted that bun there. I'm thinking I'm gonna go in with a base of some mustard. I was going to maybe put some mayo on it as well, but I don't think it'll actually be needed. And then we'll go in with, I've got the sliced roast beef here, so I'm just gonna put that on. I do have some rocket, some pickles and sauerkraut to go in this as well. But before I put that on, I'm going to put this back in the air fryer with a little bit of mozzarella over the top of the beef. So it just like warms the beef a little bit and melts the mozzarella over the top. Whilst that's melting, get that base of that bun. I'm do a little bit of rocket. Okay, so rocket on. Then I'm gonna go in with some sauerkraut. I've been really lazy and bought this sauerkraut. Normally I make my own, but I actually couldn't be bothered to make a massive batch of it because the thing with sauerkraut is that you have to use the whole, well, you don't have to use the whole cabbage, but I use the whole cabbage and then I'm just left with so much sauerkraut that I just don't get through. It's the same with kimchi. I'll end up making a whole batch of kimchi and I just don't get through it enough. So I feel like I need to do a batch of both kimchi and sauerkraut like very soon, so that when I start seeing people over the festive period, I can give it to them as gifts, and then I can offload some of the batch, and then I'm only left with like one big jar. Okay, we're going to some pickles as well. These are ones that we got in the last week's vlog, these Good Rodeo ones. They are a little bit chunky for my liking. I prefer a pickle like to be that kind of thinness, but these ones are a tiny bit on the chunkier side, but it's okay. Okay, bap, mustard, rocket, sauerkraut, pickles. Do a little bit of salt on top of the pickles, and then we have our other half of the patty. A bit of a weird breakfast, but a good way to use up the leftover roast beef. Okay, pie. I've got the pastry that I've just been chilling down. You can see the colour of it. It's like that nice, like deep colour from having the rye flour in there. And then over here, I've started doing the filling for it. Frozen cherries that I've thawed out, mixed it with a bit of sugar and also bay leaves, lemon zest, and also the juice of a lemon as well. Roll out my pastry. I also bought, actually, this is quite handy, I bought these for the task at hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out the pastry to go into this. It needs to chill down a little bit so that the pastry firms up and it keeps its shape, especially with the pattern that I'm doing on top. Hopefully I've got enough pastry for all of this. If not, I mean, that's the good thing about doing 2 loads of the pastry. If there is only enough for the one to send to the brand, I can maybe just do a little mini one to see what the taste is like. This is the whole like point of doing tests, to see how much pastry I actually need, because I just did this based on like what I thought. I was like, oh, I think this is enough pastry for this pie size, but we shall see. Pie for the brand is in the oven. I am a bit stressed about it. I think the interior of it is very liquidy, like kind of like how you would have with a apple pie, and it might seep out a little bit. I've also done the test one up here. So this is my test one. I've just done a full lattice top to it. The one for the brand is like half lattice and the logo on top of it. So I'm just letting that chill down. And once the other one has finished baking, then I can bake that one. Then I'll be able to slice into that and see what it's like. And I think like the look of the pie is what they're expecting, but I may be thinking that they're wanting it to be a little bit more solid in how it's cut. And in order to do that, I think I'm going to have to do something like a cherry jam filling rather than actual cherries. I might need to recipe test that a bit more, but it can go off to them and they can see what they think. I might be overthinking it. They might be absolutely happy with it and need no changes. I don't know, but I'm a little bit stressed about it because normally I'm baking for me or for the warm space, and because I'm a very confident baker, I don't really stress out about baking too much. But when it's for something else and it's kind of like critical for it to be the thing, I can't turn it into something different if it doesn't work. I do get a little bit stressed out about it, so I'm just hoping that it does work out okay. It looks great. It looks really good. I'm getting in my head about it. I need to just... It'll be what it will be now. I can't change it. I've got a couple of hours until the courier comes, so I just need to chill out. I'm maybe just being a little bit too critical of myself. The courier that's come to pick up the pie is an hour and a half early. So I was just like, sorry, you're gonna have to wait because it's still in the oven. Luckily it's out now. I've put it into the fridge to chill down, but poor guy's just like out there waiting for me to basically come out and go, here's the pie. Probably should have baked this yesterday in hindsight. Like, I was panicking a lot earlier, and when I put the pie outside to chill down before I put it in the fridge to chill down. Lawrence is out there with me and he was like, what do you think we've learned from this? And I was just like, this isn't the time to be talking about the learnings. I need to just get through this and then I will reflect and say, yeah, let's maybe have recipe tested it before the recipe testing. Sometimes I just think because I enjoy baking so much and I know so much about baking, I don't even think twice that something could go wrong. Like, it hasn't gone wrong, it's just not exactly what I expected it to be. Like, it's the consistency isn't as sliceable as I thought, and Lawrence did think the filling was a little bit sharp, which is fixable. You just add more sugar to that, that's fine. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. My dad has a saying of never practice in the final, and that's literally, I didn't really class this as a final though, because this is like the recipe test before I do all of them. Yeah, I've got that phrase screaming in my head right now. Anyway, making a cup of tea to take out to the courier guy. Waiting for the second one that I've done to come out so I can test it and see what it's like, and then hopefully I can send him on his way to the team in London. Oh, he's on a motorbike as well. That's the other thing. So I said to the brand, if they arrange courier, then obviously like it can go off with the courier. I will pack it up as best as I can, and luckily I've got an empty box here with like padding in that I bought. Oh, I want to show you this as well. I'll show you in a second what that came in. But I had that box luckily, and the pie box that I've got fits perfectly in between these two bits here. So I can package it up really well, but I did say to the brand, once it leaves my hands, I can't really guarantee anything. I can make sure it's packaged up as best as possible, but that's about it. So I am a little bit nervous because he's on a motorbike. It's not like it's going in a car where it could be in the footwell, and he's gonna be going over bumps and stuff, like on the M1. He's driving like an hour and a half to get to them. We'll see. We will see how it turns out. So this is what came in that. It's from Arket, and I've not actually ever bought homeware stuff from Arket before. How much is it? £47. I really like this. I think a lot of people would use this as a fruit bowl, but I see this as a serving bowl. I showed it to Lawrence, and it's like, we've got so many serving dishes. I was like, no, we have a lot of serving platters, but we don't have a lot of bowls, and that's something that we need. And whenever we buy a bowl or anything for serving, the phrase is always, especially from Lawrence, it's like, oh yeah, like a stack of potatoes in that will look really good. So it's gonna be a potato bowl. But I'm really enjoying this. I think it looks really beautiful, especially as I've got another platter I got recently from M&S, which is this one here. And I think those two together look really beautiful, and the Gustav Westman plates and stuff. So those together, I really, really like. So yeah, very happy with that. I'll link that below because I think that looks beautiful. Could be great for like cakes, potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, veg salad, loads of things. Good morning, guys. Yesterday was not my day. I don't know if I gave off the feeling here on camera, but I was just so stressed, and I don't normally feel that way, especially with baking. Baking's like my safe space, and I just felt like everything was going wrong. And bless Lawrence, he comes into the kitchen towards the end of the day when he's finished his work, and he just said, oh, you just need today to be over, don't you? I was like, yeah, I really do. So yeah, yesterday I just felt really overwhelmed. I wasn't happy with what I had produced, and just really annoyed with myself for not practicing before the practice. I should have done that. It turned out fine. So this is like the test one here, and actually now that it's cooled down and set, it has set a bit more. I think I do need to do a few more tweaks of doing things like maybe adding in some corn flour to the mix so that it thickens up a little bit more and does set it. I'm going to test that over the weekend, but actually, like, looking at it this morning, I'm not so angry about that. It's quite sharp as well, so I do think I need to sweeten the mixture a little bit. So yeah, I'm nervous as to what the team are going to say, because also this looks great with the lattice top, but the design that they wanted is kind of like half lattice, half their logo, and I think having more pastry on top definitely helps with the sweetness element as well, because I put like Demerara sugar, Demerara, is that how you say it? Demerara sugar over the top of it, so it definitely created a little bit more sweetness having the pastry on top too. I don't know, we'll see. It looks good, and there's things that can be done to make it better, so that's the main thing. I'm gonna head down to the warm space today. I'm gonna make a little bake for them to take down. We had a couple of bananas to use up, so I've done a little batch of banana bread this morning, and I'm just gonna make some breakfast. I've got some leftover sushi rice. I did like a little poke bowl last night, and I've got some leftover sushi rice from this. So I think I'm gonna do like a little crispy rice and scrambled eggs. I've got some leftover egg wash from the pie, maybe some kimchi, kind of like breakfast bowl. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put this in a pan and do a little bit of scrambled egg. I'm gonna season the rice a little bit because I forgot to do that yesterday when I made it. Oh, I also have some leftover sushi grade salmon. That's what we got at the market the other day from a vendor called Jack's Brats, I think it is. If you're in the area that I live in, really recommend. He's a very good fishmonger. So I'm gonna get a little bit of the rice in a bowl and go in with a little sprinkle of some salt. Oh, actually, we do have that salt there. Maybe I can put a pinch of that in as well, if it's not going to be over seasoned. A little pinch of that kimchi salt in. And a tiny bit of MSG. And a drizzle of some sesame oil. Give that a little mix. And all I do is pan on the hob, a nice little drizzle of olive oil so that the rice doesn't get stuck. Make sure the base is covered. And then you literally just put that in, spread it out over the pan, and then the base will get nice and crispy. The hotel in Shoreditch, what is it? It used to be called the Ace Hotel, but it's now changed hands to 100 Shoreditch, and they have sticks and sushi downstairs, and that's the restaurant that you can have the breakfast that's included in the room in. And they did a dish very similar to this for breakfast when I stayed there, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. So this is essentially a replication of that sticks and sushi breakfast. Okay, one add down, little toad in the hole recipe. Oh, this is just so good. It really reminds me of my childhood. My mum used to make toad in the hole. Well, maybe she didn't make it all the time, but I just have memories of having it quite a bit. Not in like a bad way, just I think that was like one of the go-to comfort meals that we had during winter. And it's just such a nostalgic meal for me. And I just love an ad as well that I can then have as lunch, and Lawrence can have a lunch as well. I'm gonna move on to another one, and I've had the green lights for the recipe testing that I need to do for the supper club that I'm hosting. So we'll pop out to Waitrose in a bit as well and buy all the ingredients. I'm really excited for this recipe. It's inspired by a lot of beauty products, and there's a lot of interesting ties between the products and the ingredients that I'm using. One of the dishes that I'm making, I bought a squash at the farmer's market last weekend with you guys, and is it a squash or a pumpkin? I think it's a pumpkin. And one of the dishes is this kind of like miso sticky toffee glazed slices of squash. I'm really excited to recipe test it because I love the concept, but it could be too sweet because the pumpkin's going to be sweet and a sticky toffee sauce is going to be sweet. I'm really excited to try and balance that out. I'm thinking of adding in some things like some pine nuts. I was going to add some miso into it as well, and mushrooms and soy, and then also some creme fraiche to like cut through it all. So I'm hoping everything together will really work. So I've got some ingredients ready that we picked up at the farmer's market last weekend, but we need to go to Waitrose and pick up some final bits to test, and then tomorrow we'll be doing that. But I'm just gonna get on and film this final ad first, then we'll pop out. Turns out that I'm actually missing an ingredient that I need for the next ad. So we're gonna go out to the shops now, and I'm also going to go, there's a really good Middle Eastern shop in the town near to me that I'll bring you guys along to, because for one of the dishes that we're recipe testing tomorrow, I need some like Lebanese flatbread, and it's like an Aladdin's cove of amazing things. So let's go out to the shops now and get everything that we need. Okay, this is the shop here. Just look at all of the beautiful fresh veg here too. Just like so much good stuff here. You've even got like dragon fruits, beautiful apricots as well, pomegranates. Something I always love as well that they do in here, they have all of these homemade baklavas. If you're a fan of things like Bold Bean Co, I always find that the beans here in this one are so similar. I've not actually tried their chickpeas in a comparison, but those are so similar to the cannellini beans with Bold Bean Co and a fraction of the price. This tahini, that is the best tahini ever. $6.39 for that massive jar. Or there's this smaller one for $3.79. Yeah, if you ever see that tahini, definitely get it. There's also a really good butcher's there too, because I sometimes need things like mutton, and there's like no supermarket sells mutton. This is what I'm after. These laffa breads, they are just so good, like so beautiful and like pillowy. These are also really lovely as well, these breads. This could be quite a nice idea for like massive sharing style, and people can just like tear that all up. I quite like that. I might take a photo of that to send to the brand and go, this is a really fun idea, because they want a lot of it to be interactive. So that's probably quite a nice thing that I think they'll like. Look at that. They could be quite interesting. Maybe that, and then people can like break bits off and it'd be quite communal. I've seen this as well. I'm thinking it's like a grill. How cool is that? It's like a little stubby portable grill thing. I'm thinking like that would actually be a really good gift to get Lawrence for Christmas. I love that. That in the garden, like cooking things like teriyaki on that, that'd be really cool. It always breaks my heart going to Waitrose when it's not on a Thursday or a weekend, because I'm not able to get the paper. I'm gonna have to come back later in the week and grab the weekend paper so I get my fix. So I want to use some like really nice mushrooms for the main dish with the squash to really like make it more earthy. You know, I was saying about the fact that it could be a little bit too sweet. These mushrooms here are some of my like absolute favourite mushrooms that I get from Waitrose whenever I'm here. They're reduced as well, which is great. Highly recommend these. I probably actually only need one punnet for now. They're just so good. They're like a mix of loads of different mushrooms, and also try and like find the ones that have got like the most shiitake mushrooms in. Loads of stuff is reduced at the moment. Maybe like this is the right day to come. What day are we? Wednesday? Maybe Wednesday's the day to come to get yellow ticket items. Okay, we just need some basic yogurt. This is, I'm going to strain this to create labneh. Just the top of that will be fine. Lawrence also loves this kind of like simple yogurt. He'll have that with stewed plums and stuff. I'm more of like a really thick Greek yogurt lover, but he likes a more drizzly one for some reason. Little fact about Lawrence there. Okay, that's everything needed. We are back home and it's the next day. I got back yesterday and I just like cracked on with filming that ad, which went down so well. I was really happy with the result of it. Ads are always a tricky one because they're not obviously organic style, but I try and make it in my most organic style as possible. And there's always a bit of like nerviness when I'm filming because I want to make sure I'm doing the brand proud and what they want and what they're expecting. You have to get key messages across, because at the end of the day it's an ad, but I also want to make sure it's still good content that I would have put out organically. So yeah, really happy actually with how that one turned out. And also I got an email from the other brand saying that they liked the pie. They said that they loved it, they thought it was delicious. So I definitely was getting inside my head a little bit. They had a few like requests on terms of the design, but that was nothing that I did. It was that they wanted it to be like a full lattice top instead of part lattice, and that's their brief. So, you know, they told me before they wanted it half, they saw the final result, they changed it to being full lattice. So yeah, I'm very happy. I'm gonna still do a couple more recipe tests to it because I want to just make sure it's a little bit more sliceable. And I think it could be a little bit sweeter as well. Even though they're happy with it, I think there's a few tweaks that could be made. But yeah, I got inside my head a little bit too much with that. But I'm cracking on today with doing this recipe testing for this other supper club. I think this week I'm really inside my head. Normally when I'm filming content for you guys or filming ads, I know what to expect, and I've either done the recipes before and I feel really confident with them. But for some reason this week, I'm just having a major burst of imposter syndrome, and just, I think the pie situation really threw me off because all I could think of was like, this is my job and I am not doing it correctly. I'm not making this pie correctly, and I just felt like a bit of a failure, to be honest, and it just really got into my head, and I think it's really spilled out onto other days. I'm just trying to get out of that funk now. So I'm gonna crack on with a few bits for this recipe testing. It's all like centered around kind of like fruits and like winter berries, things like that. There's a few interesting flavor combinations. I need to desperately invest in a cherry pitter because I'm just pulling apart cherries right now to roast them. The starters are going to be a black pepper, blackberry and ginseng is that how you say it? Labneh dip. that's what I was looking at those laffa breads for yesterday. So I've strained some yogurt overnight. So labneh is essentially just strained yogurt, really thick, strained, tangy yogurt. So I've strained some natural yogurt last night, just over a sieve in a muslin in the fridge. So that's created the labneh, really easy. And then for the blackberry element, I've just got some frozen blackberries that I'm going to reduce down with a little bit of hot honey, maybe a little bit more chili, and just taste that, see what it's like. It might need a little bit of acid, it might need a little bit of lemon juice, but after our cherry pie debacle, I'm gonna stay away from the lemon juice for now and just roast it with some chili and some honey first. The ginseng bit, it's literally just ginseng powder with some olive oil, salt and pepper. That should be it. And then I'm just gonna crack some black pepper into the blackberries as well. So that's one dish. And then I'm also going to be doing a mixed berry and burrata platter. So I've just got here mixed berries. And what am I going to do with that? I'm going to mix that with some brown sugar. Again, maybe I'll leave out the chili because I'm putting that in the blackberry and I don't want the flavours to be too similar. A splash of balsamic vinegar and then simmer that to create a little kind of like jam. And then it's essentially roasted cherries with burrata and that jam. And then people can have that with, again, like the bread, or I might even do some sourdough to go with it. And then the final starter dish is going to be a peach and vanilla glazed beetroot with like feta and hazelnuts, kind of like chunks of beetroot, and feta crumbled in, hazelnuts crumbled in. So that's what I'm cracking on with at the moment. Gonna get these cherries roasting, just like drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, and then get the jam on, and then we can do I need to roast the peach? No, I'm making like a peach glaze with that, so I need to roast the beetroots. Okay, we have dish one. I just did a little like tasting dish for Lawrence and he's given it the sign of approval. There are a few little tweaks that he suggested to make, but now we're in a place where I can plate this one up and take a photo of it to send over to the brand. So this here is the labneh. So you literally just see like you've got a muslin over a sieve and then can see all that whey in there. You're left with thick labneh. This is such a good thing to make. Like to make this and then you can have this on toast throughout the week, like a bit of a soft boiled egg, a bit of crispy chili oil. It's almost like having soft cheese, you know, like Philadelphia. So I'm just going to plate it like this. They're all kind of be like sharing starters, and then we can do those crackers that we saw in the Middle Eastern shop yesterday with this one, I think. And then in with those reduced blackberries. And I've got this oil here. It's a little bit of ginseng powder with olive oil, salt and pepper. I'm just gonna do a drizzle of that over it. Another crack of black pepper. And a grating of some lemon zest. That's dish number one. Next dish, it's gonna be like a burrata starter. Burrata starter. So I'm gonna put in a bed of some rocket. This is more like for a tiny touch of like peppery flavour, but also contrasting colour. I'm gonna dress that with a little bit of this miso and sesame dressing. A little bit of that dressing over that. A burrata. And then we have our roasted cherries here. So these can go all over. We have that jam that's set really nicely now. So that jam can go on top like this. A little bit of salt to finish. Right, dish two. Seal of approval from Lawrence. We've made a few tweaks to it. I feel like with Lawrence and I, we're a really good team with creating dishes because I'm very good at coming up with the concept and the idea. Like these combinations, I'm good at thinking like, oh, those flavours will work really well together, and making it look a certain way, and also knowing certain techniques and ways of cooking things. But Lawrence is then really good at the flavours. So working out like, what is that missing? What does it need to be more punchy in? I feel like with doing these kind of recipe tests, it's really, I'm so grateful to have him here and just have him in general, because he just goes, yeah, that's a good like starting point, but there's this, this and this. So the tweaks that we're making to this is he said, go harder on the flavours with the sumac and the thyme on the cherries. He said put more chilli in the jam as well. We added in some sesame seeds over the top, which we're going to toast, and also these crispy onions as well from the Asian supermarket, these like fried shallots. Some chopped red chilli on top as well. Final starter dish, we've got some roasted different coloured beetroots, rainbow beetroots. I'm just going to plate that up. This one's quite simple. It's literally some roasted beetroot. I've done a peach and vanilla glaze. We've got some feta, some thyme and some hazelnuts on it. I'm quite nervous for this one because you're really just letting simple ingredients sing. Let's do the peach and vanilla glaze next. Fresh peach. Sprinkling of some feta. Right, that's what we're looking like so far. Let's put some fresh thyme on. And then the final thing, some toasted chopped hazelnuts. That's the final starter. Beetroot, peach, vanilla, feta, hazelnut salad. Let's bring you guys along for the Lawrence taste test, see what he thinks.
I'd toast the hazelnuts.
They were toasted in the oven, but I need
Really?
to toast them more then. Okay, fine.
Do them in a pan.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Direct heat.
Because you have to put them in the oven to take the skins off.
Oh, got honey on it as well.
No, there's a vanilla glaze.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah? Any notes?
No,
No?
it's very earthy.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Cauliflower main. Spread that all over that base. Tender stem broccoli. And the kale. And then in with the florets as well. And then just to finish it off, we'll do a scatter of some parsley and some chopped chives. That's one of the main showstopper vegetable dishes there. Next course. Cauliflower, like puree, charred kale and tender stem broccoli, and like buttered cauliflower.
That's really good.
Yeah?
I would say these need a bit more
Okay.
charring or something. But
Yeah.
Just because aesthetically.
Yeah, fair enough. I just didn't want to overdo them and maybe I wanted still a bit of bite. But yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Bits of squash down first. And then mushrooms. I probably should have put the mushrooms on first, then the squash on. Sprinkle of some chives over the top. And then also some crispy shallots and some garlic. This is like crispy garlic that I've got from the Asian supermarket. That dish there, it's a little bit anemic looking. I'm really not sure about this one, so I'll have to see what Lawrence's feedback is. Sticky toffee squash with soy garlic mushrooms.
Miso's there for sure.
Yeah?
Mushrooms are really good. Is there a creme fraiche or something?
Oh yeah, I was going to put dollops of creme fraiche on it, yeah. I feel like there needs to be some sort of crunch to it.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe some torn up croutons, sourdough croutons.
Sourdough croutons, okay. Yeah.
Because it's all very a-textural. A pangratata.
A pangratata.
Like, instead of this stuff,
Yeah.
sprinkle pangratata on top.
Do a sourdough pangratata. Okay.
Yeah, very nice. The mushrooms are great. Works.
Okay. Good morning, guys. I think we are officially out of jumper and t-shirt weather and into coat weather. It is so cold. When did it suddenly like drop to 8 degrees in the morning? I am freezing. I'm just on my way into London today because I'm actually gonna then go into Cardiff. I was invited to a restaurant with a few other content creators and a PR agency. So we're literally meeting in London, then getting a train into Cardiff, having some lunch, then coming home. Bit of a weird one, but I'm really excited. I've had this one on the list. It's called Gorse. So into London to go into Cardiff. was a really, really lovely meal. It was a bit of a weird one. I was like going into London and going to Cardiff just to go for lunch. But I didn't actually realise how easy it was to get to Cardiff from London. And I'm pretty certain that's one of the reasons why they wanted to do this little like invite with some content creators to showcase that you could do a little day trip from London into Cardiff, have a nice 7-course tasting meal and then come back home. The train was like 2 hours. There are longer trains, but the fast train was like 2 hours. I personally would do it more on a weekend trip, and Cardiff is actually somewhere that I've wanted to have a little weekend away to. And if I was to be back in Cardiff, I think I would, depending on how much stuff there is. I haven't done a lot of research into Cardiff before in terms of like food places, but I would return, I think. I guess my only thing when I say I wouldn't return to places, it's normally because there's so many other things that I'd go to. There's a handful of restaurants in London that I'd go, I would return here regardless of the fact that there's so many other options, you know, like Brat, Mountain, Crispin, those like favourite restaurants of mine that I will always want to return to. I definitely would recommend, if you're planning a weekend away in Cardiff, if you did want to do a day trip and you were happy just taking the train out into Cardiff for the day, I would recommend it. It was nice. The service was a little bit rushed at times, especially like the first 3 snack bits that we had. They were brought out really quickly, and I understand that we have like a certain time that we're there for, but I do think sometimes with these like 7-course tasting meals, if you've only got a 2-hour booking to get through it, and you're having to rush people through it in order to complete the 7 courses, should you actually just do 5 courses and have it a little bit more leisurely, rather than it being like, it was like they're put down, you had to like eat them, and then like the next one was coming out straight away. And especially as all of us were getting our content shots, taking photos, taking videos, and then eating it and talking about it, it did feel a little bit rushed. And the head chef, he was really lovely, but he would come over, like say it quite quickly and then like go straight away. And I really want to ask a lot of questions. Like Lawrence and I do that all the time, where if a chef is coming over to explain something, I have questions to ask about it. So when he says something like the pastry case is made of XYZ, I'm like, oh, okay, so like how does that work? Because I know that that particular flour isn't a high gluten content. So I know that I'm not a normal person, and that a lot of people would like hear what they have to say and it's like, okay, cool, thanks, see you later. But I think if you're willing to come over and explain dishes, explain them a little bit more if the person's asking for it. But the food was really, really great, like really lovely Welsh local produce. I think that for me is like the perfect kind of, if I'm going to do a 7-course tasting menu, that is the perfect kind of setup for me. I think the vibe was really lovely in terms of it was relaxed, but it still felt special. And the dishes were interesting, but still kind of classic. There was some like different influences there from Asian food, but then also like modern European styles. I definitely prefer a non-French classic cooking tasting menu. I think I've realised that that's my kind of preference. I want something that's got a little bit more punchy flavours, and they definitely did that at Gorse, which was really good. Had a lovely time, and if you're ever after a place in Cardiff, definitely recommend, definitely check it out. Now, sign off the vlog here. Thank you so much for watching another one. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you on the next one.